Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Angriest Man in Orlando show, and I am the Angriest Man in Orlando, Anthony, your host. So, we're going to do a quick show today, and the reason we're doing this is if you watched my other show, Two Men in a Room, every Thursday night at 8-ish, we talked about last Thursday a story about, we're going to call the Cheesecake Factory story. A woman was taken out on a first date to the Cheesecake Factory, did not appreciate it, and then was subsequently driven home. If you want to get the full story, tune into the Two Men in a Room podcast from Thursday, the 19th. Yes. And you can catch up on that. I'll do a quick breakdown of why we're doing this video. Well, apparently they responded, both parties. The gentleman's name is Jay. The lady's name is Alicia. I have to say that correctly because Jay apparently doesn't like it when you don't say the right name. So they went on Kevin Wesley's show on YouTube and proceeded to sit down with him and do an interview. Kind of an Oprah Winfrey type interview. Very kind of softball questions, but he did a good job with it and tried to get both parties' perspectives on how the date went and how relationships are going in the present day, and asked some interesting questions. So my thoughts on it are this: we can't actually show the interview. We haven't gotten permission from him, so we're just going to run it without. And I'm just going to give a feedback on everything and why this needs to be stated that I'm not sure what she's thinking, and I'm not sure what he's thinking anymore. So they sat down. It's about a 30-minute or so video. You can see right off the bat, Jay's kind of sitting slumped over, not very confident posture. Definitely seemed like it was almost an attack on him at first, I thought. But I think that's just him. He seems very shy. Doesn't seem like he's dated a lot. They seem to live in a pretty big city from the way they talked about stuff. So I think he was just kind of lonely and shy and doesn't get out. He says he doesn't get out much. I don't think he gets out much either. But that was kind of his opening look. And Alicia sat next to him and kind of not right next to each other, but kind of, I guess, perpendicular to each other. I guess that's a word. So she tried to look innocent. She's very well mannered, dressed very nice, seemed pleasant if you were just looking at her at that time. And, well, she tried to start explaining stuff. Kevin got into the interview, started asking, what was going on, what brought you to go to this Cheesecake Factory, and what were you expecting out of the date? So he begins to go down his family line and explains that, he's looking to build a relationship and his, family heritage is very important to him. He is Indian. His family lives near the Indian-Pakistani line. Very long tradition of, family values, and very respectful man, very respectful, very well mannered, doesn't interrupt anything, listens to the question, gives his honest answer on it, or as honest I think he can be. So he starts explaining that he, saw her. He met in Midtown. He saw her at a bar. He said none of the other gentlemen seemed to be talking to her, so he decided to go up and talk to her. And if you've seen a little bit of this girl, I think I understand why a lot of guys wouldn't want to go and talk to her. I mean, she's 6'2". Um, she does kind of give off this aura of kind of, higher, high class. Seems to kind of hold herself high, holds her head high, holds her shoulders back. And you kind of get the sense that, she could be a bit of a snob, just the way she kind of holds herself. Now, I understand being tall doesn't mean you're a snob. It just kind of states that, you're not as soft as you can look. But if you take a look at Gail Gadot, she's 6 feet tall, and, guys still want to be with her. So I don't think the being tall thing is an explanation for any of her attitude. So she tried to use that a little bit. Then she tries to state that she's a princess and she should be taken seriously and pampered and all the other words that would fit into that category. And honestly, as she's explaining some of this, she tries to throw in a couple jokes or tries to jokingly explain why she went the route that she did with filming and I just deserve better because I'm so pretty and all this stuff. And honestly, on my scale, I give it like a freaking 3, maybe 2.5. She's not that good looking. I've seen much more beautiful women than her, so I'm not really sure what that's all about. As they're going through the interview, Kevin actually says Alicia rather than Alicia. And Jay immediately responds to Kevin and says, it's Alicia. It's a very beautiful name. And that's when you can kind of get the fact that he might still have a thing for her. He might still be interested in her. And he still thinks that this could work out, which is mind boggling when he was the one who made the decision to drive her home afterward, which would explain why he doesn't go out on many dates and doesn't go and talk to a lot of women. So it kind of all starts to fall into place that, he's just a shy guy. Hasn't had a lot of experience, hasn't had a lot of experience with American women either, from what I'm getting. And she just really has some high expectations. Now, a reason for the high expectations was something she brought up. She stated that her friends would look down on her if she went into the Cheesecake Factory, which is interesting because, okay, Kevin should have immediately asked, well, if your friends were not there and you didn't have your friends in your life, would you have gone into the Cheesecake Factory? Now, he never asked this question. I was actually intrigued to want to ask this question of her because I'm wondering, is it her friends that are putting her in the position to want to get better things out of life? Or is it her own image of her self-worth that tells her she should be getting something better out of life? So that's actually something that, could be explored if they ever do another interview, if anyone wants to interview them. So going back to the situation where they're at this bar in Midtown, none of the other guys in the bar are trying to talk to her. Jay walks up to her, talks to her. He even says, he didn't see any other guys talking to her, which is understandable when you actually do talk to her. And they hit it off decently well, he said. They proceeded to have a date. So he goes to pick her up on this date. Reading the comments, I'm being told she was an hour late. She admitted she was late, so I don't know the time, but he had a plan to take her somewhere else, which is something I didn't put in the story in the beginning. It's something that came out later. he had an idea for a different restaurant. And so he went to this restaurant. He was going to go to this restaurant, but because she was late, they missed the reservation. So he decided to kind of scramble, pull an audible, change the plan, and go to a restaurant that he loved going to. Went there a lot on his birthday and everything. Loves the Cheesecake Factory. So he proceeded to take her to the Cheesecake Factory, and she decided that wasn't right. And instead of simply just talking to him in the truck and saying, I don't really think this is the type of place I want to go to, she proceeded to take her phone out because, as she states later on, she communicates in a group that deals with relationships. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. She deals in a group where they all talk about how to deal with relationships. I don't know what this group is. She never named it. Don't join this group. Don't listen to this group. Terrible advice. So she decided to take her phone out and begin videoing her to get a response from her friends on what she thought would be a good idea or a bad idea. Sure, if you watch the video, that kind of could be an interpretation. I think it was more of she wanted to insult him and she wanted her friends to back up her decision that this was not the right place for me. Which leads again to, if she didn't have the friends she have, would she still have gone in? I don't know. That's something that could be asked. I don't know if anyone ever will ask, but that would be something to think about on her part. So she videos how it's so terrible that he brought her to the Cheesecake Factory. And I can see how he could be agitated by it. And Jay said he was kind of perturbed by her filming. And that's why he kind of made the decision to put his foot down and say, yeah, we're going to end the date now. He said that this was actually the first time he had ever done something like that. And I say kudos to you, man. Jay, if you're watching, or if anybody who knows him can be watching this, you just need a little more confidence, buddy. You definitely need to find someone else. That is absolutely 100%. Now, they went through it. They kind of started discussing what relationships are, what can you expect from a relationship. And a lot of it was she was wrong on, not giving and only wanting to receive. And he was trying to give and also receive, and he kind of got shut down. That's why I think Jay, you should just walk away from this one. Take it as a loss and just say, okay, the attention you're getting from the video alone is going to put you out to a lot of different people. And someone may know someone who could be a better fit for you, man. I don't think she's a good fit for you. I don't think you guys are on the same level. So I definitely don't think you guys should even try again. For her, I would say take this experience as a learning experience and look back at it. And I know she said it in the interview. Oh, I've looked back and I've kind of seen where I set up I a lot and I didn't do this a lot and all that. But it's like, come on now. You've had this attitude for quite a while. And if you really think it's working for you, then why don't you have a decent boyfriend? It's not working for you. So certainly you got to change it if you want anything out of life, or you could just keep doing your content and think you might get somewhere with it. I don't know. But certainly at this point, it's just absolutely enough to say, okay, we're done with this. But we're not, because Mr. Kevin Wesley offered them a date. His show's going to take care of the two of them going on another date. This is definitely just for the content. what are you, crazy, man? I, just take the win, try to build yourself with that and go with it. But to literally put these two through another experience is just borderline evil, man. They don't fit well together. Their levels of expectations are just on different levels. It's just never, ever, ever going to really work out. So you're basically just setting these people up to fail and then filming it for your show. It's really kind of crap. But, Jay's got to stand up and say, hey, I'm moving on. This is not what I want. And you can find better. So go for it, man. As for Alicia, again, rewatch the video, rewatch your interviews, watch your body language through stuff. And Jig too. The body language on these two people shows so much about how they look at stuff and how they interact with stuff. It's crazy to watch and to understand and see and just be like, yeah, these two just do not belong together. And she actually called out that she actually wanted a guy taller than her, which is pretty much like 1% or less. But I mean, why did you go out with Jay then? Didn't make any sense. Pretty much leads me to believe that he was probably the only guy who was going to hit on you. And that's what you just said. You didn't want to settle. So what makes me angry about this is that she even did the video and that she's even continuing with this because it incites and adds to other women who do this kind of stuff that, well, I've got a voice out there who says the same thing that I'm saying. So I must be right. And it's not. You're not right. And here's the instance. You can expect a nice place. Okay, that's cool. But if it's not there yet, then don't cry about it on a video. Don't sit there and be like, oh, I should have been somewhere better. I'm a princess. I deserve better. No, you don't. Nobody deserves anything. No one owes anybody anything. But if you meet a person who's offering it, then you go with it and take it. But you got to be at a level to offer them something in return. Doesn't have to be a money thing. Doesn't have to be, anything else, sexual or anything. It can be feelings, confidence, enthusiasm for what they do and how they do stuff. That's what you owe them. And from the things I'm hearing that are coming out about this date, her not wanting to hold his hand, her not wanting to talk to him in the vehicle while they were going to the restaurant, just basically states that you didn't really even want this guy. You were just happy you were getting somewhere with somebody and you didn't care. It shows you only care about yourself. So again, Jay, I don't know why you would even entertain a second date with her. But, if you can ride the roller coaster of fame and clout for a little bit, go for it. It might bring you to somebody that, really respects you and wants to be with you, and you might get there. So I don't want to really waste any more time on this. I thought I'd just give everybody an update of what's going on. And it actually made me angry when I heard that they were actually doing this. It was just like, are you kidding me? We're going to keep going on this roller coaster? Like, it should have been shut down immediately. And a lot of people did by commenting on the video. And even she comes out and asks, well, why are so many people into this video? It's because you're presenting this as evidence to other women that this is okay to do. It's not okay to do. If you weren't expecting that, well, you should have looked for a higher class man. There's multimillionaires that would have brought you to some bougie restaurant. You couldn't get them. So you're left with Cheesecake Factory. Suck it up, Sally, and just take it. Because that may be the only thing you're getting for a while. All right. This is Anthony in Orlando, the angriest man in Orlando, might I add. We're going to leave you with tonight with this. Just end it all, for crying out loud.